that were working with NEPA initially will be they'll be called back to work. And now, when after it was being privatized, we saw that it became worse. And no wonder after the privatization of NNPC, people are saying it will become worse. Let it not just become like NEPA after it was privatized. We need all this money. If money of this amount is invested into all these places for it to work smoothly, then we should not have excuses any longer. We should not condone any excuse coming from all this, because this money is large enough to look out for ways it can restore that power generation, so that we'll have smooth smooth power in our country. Now, that's no wonder after the issue where cars were bought for Niger Republic, we said we are the ones giving them electricity and they have 24 hours power supply. And here you see some places you have blackouts, some places they even ration the electricity. If we have lights today, tomorrow we won't have, because other places need to have. We have to ration electricity. Why people will give electricity, they have it for 24 hours. So we need questions, we need answer. That's why we keep on talking about accountability, because even in this sector, they have accountants, they have auditors. What happened to this money? Was this money used for the right thing? Because before this money was given out, there were things that were written that this money will be used for. Definitely. So were this money used for the right thing, or it was used to buy low standard material? Because we are used to that. When we are giving money, then we'll go back and buy materials that are of low standard, and within a short period of time they start having issues, and that will happen, that will affect everything entirely. So we just need people to talk about it, and we see where experts are saying poor payments tragically can be reversed. So we see that it's bouncing back to the masses, where you see when bills are taken to houses, you see a large amount of money. Like in my area now, people who get their electricity right directly from NEPA, you need to see the bill they bring to these people. So we just need answers to all these things. We need smooth supply of electricity. Even with this issue of insecurity, we should not have issues with our electricity any longer. Power needs to be steady. We need to have supply of power so that people can be able to look out for what is happening, because when there is no light, that's why these people even find it very easy to come into places. So we just need something to be done concerning the power and concerning the NEPA entirely, on how this money was being used for all it was said to be used for.
Yeah, permit me to just add a little to what you're saying. I think it's high time that the federal government reshuffle its ministers again. I can't remember the last time where the Minister of Power came out to actually give us a concrete reason why we are having this power collapse. Last week on our papers, we had where our power, the power plant has actually dropped down again to about 3,000 and something megawatts, you get, and then yet we're coming out every time to say Nigeria is poor. And I begin to ask questions during this next meeting, that's talking about the meeting that they normally have. What do they discuss? It's not just about discussing insecurity too, but there are other sectors that need to be discussed, and also a state of emergency needs to be declared on this particular sector. We keep talking about the education, we're forgetting about power. Okay, we keep encouraging our youth to go to school, Okay, after they are done schooling, then what happened to them? Yeah, possibly, just like you say, you're planning to maybe go into a small scale business, and the light is not there. Not to talk about the money that federal government is still talking about in relation to subsidy, to pay for fuel subsidy. We are going now back and forth. We are not even sure whether in 2023 they'll still be paying the fuel subsidy or it will be dropped. We're still talking about theft when it comes to illegal refineries that are operating either in Imo State or in other parts of the the south. So there are lots of questions to see, and I think if we don't learn to start holding people accountable, and just like I said, if a ministry is not functioning, I mean, who are we afraid of to see? You sack the minister, bring a new one, let us see what he or she is capable of doing, because you can't just stay in the comfort of your home because you can afford to have maybe a generator that can supply with light, and then you do not care what the masses are going through. Except we do that to see every day. I'm telling you, we keep reading these stories on our papers, but when we are ready to have a change in story, we need to change our policy, restructure all these places, just like you talk about, from NEPA to it being privatized. If you ask them, they say that NNPC is not privatized. It's just they just restructure it to what it is presently. So I think we need to be accountable, and just like you spoke about the audit, we need to audit these ministries and know this money that is being given to them, what have you done about it? We need you to bring out paperwork of what you've done, and then we need to have facts at the end of the day. I think when we do that, then we stop having all this money coming up, and then we cannot give account of what was done to this taxpayers' money at the end of the day.
Thank you very much, Sele. Still on the Daily Trust newspaper, 22.1 million Kenyans to elect new president today. And Kwara couple chains woman for 2 weeks over witchcraft. Will vote again those who ignore rivers. This is coming from Nyesom Wiki. And bandits kill FIRS boss, chase woman into mosques and abduct imam in Niger. This is really sad, and this issue of insecurity is getting out of hand. We really need to look into all the stories, and that's all on the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, let's take a look at the world of sports, and we have Victor Moses injured out for 6 months, and he's actually having with actually a tenor injury. You can read more of that on page 6, and we wish him a quick recovery. Napoli Peace Oshime as captain for season opener. You can read more of that also on page 6. We have the fixture, and you can actually check the results for those who have been following the Premier League and other sports. We have MPFL top soccer tops Yusuf 35-man list for Ghana, Algeria 2023. We have Messi Barca opens negotiation for sectional return. Liverpool to rival Barca PSG for Bernardo Silva. You can read more of that also on page 5. And we also have some very, enlightening and big stories on the Sporting Sun. So you can do well to grab the Sporting Sun sports and actually read more of the sporting world.
On the Leadership newspaper concerning COVID-19, only 3 states have attained 50% vaccination. This is coming from the federal government. And Oluwatobiloba Amusan is saying, I'm leaving Commonwealth Games with a new record to my name. Dare Nyame finally released from Kuje prison, and monkeypox cases rise to 157. President Muhammadu Buhari intervenes, approves Seplat Energy acquisitions of ExxonMobil shares. Rivers APC, Wike's loyalists differ on governor's overtures to Tinubu. Details can be found in page 7 of the Leadership newspaper. The big story says Nigerian resort to cheaper goods as inflation decks purchasing power. Food inflation rises by almost 100% in 10 years as Nigerians pay more for imported goods due to high exchange rate and lost purchasing power to economic realities. And how inflation affects you: we have paying more for imported goods, high cost of credit from banks to Nigerian businesses, Nigerian students home and abroad pay higher tuition fee, and high food prices, surge in transportation and travel expenses, high energy bills, and loss of value of money. And I think this is all the things that is glaring, that is affecting us even in our country. And with all these things, how can we elevate ourselves from even the inflation and also the scarcity of food? So I remember when the African Development Bank President Femi Adesina, yes, he spoke about how if we borrow money from other places, other countries, how we can invest even in the right places. And also the DG of World Trade Organization, that's our very own Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, also said it, that we should invest in the right thing. And you said something like that, investing in the right thing, investing in the agricultural sector. But it is really sad when we see that our agricultural sectors are the ones building a worship center in some places. I wonder, misplacement of priority. What about those people that are in those communities where you are building a worship center? There are people who don't even have seedlings to plant. There are people who don't even have land to plant. What happened to those people? There are people who even need small funds to even be able to cultivate and even do some sort of form of farming, but you don't help them. Then you go about building worship centers. So you see all these things. Even if we try to invest in the agricultural sector, what happened to those people who are heading those places? Do they really know what they are supposed to do? Just like you said, mistakes of priority. People don't even know what their jurisdiction of work any longer. So we see all these things. Now we see the food inflation. We now fold our hands and blame the Russian-Ukraine crisis. We can't get goods from them. We can't get wheat from them. We can't get other foodstuff from them. What happened to ourselves, why can't we farm all these things here? We'll give example with the plateau. We are blessed here. Our land is so fertile. What happened to investing in agriculture? We can invest in agriculture even in some states, some local governments, sorry, even on the plateau. And when we invest rightly in those places, we can even send these goods to other places. We become employers of labor, but we don't do that. We just rather we prefer our goods come from other countries. Then we prefer we eat the foreign rice, we eat all those things, and we know that it's even harmful to us. What happened to investing in our own? What about happened to us planting our own crops and food we eat? So we need to look into all these things, and even if we get the right funds to invest in the agricultural sector, we need to also look into issue of security, because just we see where people are even being killed on their farmland. Just of this week we recorded where a 90-year-old woman was killed on her farmland. So we need to look into all this, and so our farmers will not be killed on their farmland, and they'll be able to go to their farm. And even if after cultivating all those crops, we need to look out for ways the prices can be brought down, because after taking it to the farm, that's where you see the prices are being inflated, and people cannot have access to good food any longer. So we need to look into all this, and food need to be available. With all this inflation, we say the economy is better in this regime. I will now ask, better in what way? Is it the availability of food? Obviously there are no food any longer. Is it on the issue of insecurity? We see that insecurity has become the order of the day. So many things, so many sectors are crumbling. So we need to look into all these things and look out for ways food can be available. And now we see that the inflation and even food prices have been inflated by 100%. So it is really on a zero record. We need to look out for ways food can be available for everyone to have access to good food. WAEC releases 2022 WACS result, record 76.36% pass, and lawyer asks Lagos CJ to probe illegal eviction of court bailiffs. US releases new African policy to counter China and Russia, and that's all on the Leadership newspaper. Sele.
Alright, and on the Vanguard newspaper, I'm fully in charge of Rivers, WK tells adversaries. You can actually read more of that on page 12. WAEC withholds 365,564 results. Federal government releases Darie Iyama from Kuje prison. UK Museum to return 72 looted Benin artifacts. You can read more of that also on page 9. And on oil blocks, Buhari OK separate acquisition of $1.283 billion mobile asset, with more details found on page 19. Big story here, say man LCCI to the federal government, the rising debt threatening economy. As PTF 2023-2025 will be missed, says the LCCI. Manufacturing job loses eminent man, and mounting foreign debt may be difficult to serve. This is coming from Adori. Bleeding economy may result in recession. This is coming from Kufa. And we also have downside of the paper on OPEC, Nigeria not meeting the oil production quota. The federal government cries out. And I wonder why the federal government is crying out to see when we know what we need to do. First and foremost, we need to tackle the issue of the oil theft in Imo State and other parts of the country that are going through the oil theft. And secondly, I think we need to also look into fixing our own refineries. Because when we fix our own refineries, we'll be able to checkmate the quantity of crude oil we produce in the country, and then we'll be able to send it, because there is a quota that is expected from every nation that is on OPEC. But you can see that this is not the first time that Nigeria is appearing on the paper that we're unable to meet our own quota of the the oil that is expected to be produced from Nigeria, and we have it. When you're talking about production of oil, Nigeria is almost, I think, the third or the fourth in Africa when it comes to production of oil, yet we are among the poorest nation in Africa. So this will bring back to mind and say, what is the problem? What are we lacking? And I say one thing is like we are lacking the leadership, because if we have good leaders, then we'll not be having this issue. That is why I said it still boils down to what? Accountability, auditing the ministries, checking the ministers that are heading this nation, the agency, the marketers. We already had issue where marketers are saying they are not responsible for the the prices of fuel in the market. So you can see that everybody is looking for who to push the blame for why things are not working in the country, except we take responsibility and own up to knowing the fact that yes, I have failed in my own capacity. What can I do? I need to go back, call the people I work together with. What can we do to make sure that we improve in our own sector? That is the only way things can move forward. So I do not want the government to think as if we're always saying they need to do something, they need to so we are providing solution. These are the ways we can do. Just look at the percentage when you're talking about inflation prices of food. We buy when inflation is 100%, food prices is almost 200% high. So you can see that lots of things are not going well. So we hope that Nigeria will be able to check into this oil production, and the quota they will be able to meet up with that. Scots killed as troop military air strike compound on the Boko Haram ISWAP hideout in Bama Forest, with detail on page 6. And we also have here a video of pirates mocking Tinubu distasteful bazaar. This is coming from Shoika. Benue to apply for AK-47, AK-49 rifle license for the BSCVG. This is coming from the Governor Otom. And also another story I would like to take here. Ohaneze, IPOP, ADF knocks Buhari over comment on Imo killings. You can read more of that on page 11. We also have a picture story here, so you do well to grab the Vanguard newspaper and you will read detail of any of the stories that is of interest to you.
Thank you very much, Sele. But before we continue with other papers, we would like to take a time to take a short break. After this break, we'll be right back with more stories we would like to review alongside with you. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned. This is still the Dailies on Equa Television International. We've been reviewing stories making headlines on our national and international papers. We'd like you to drop your comment on our official Facebook and YouTube pages, and also our phone lines are opened and displayed on your screen. Do well to call us on stories that interest you, on stories we've been reviewing so far. I've been doing this with Sele Elisha. Thank you very much, Sele.
My pleasure too.
And I'd like to take the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. We have internal crisis forces PDP to postpone NEC. Minister agency flex muzzle over sale of ExxonMobil shares to Seplat. And WAEC withhold result of 365,564 candidates over alleged malpractice. The rider says 1.22 million obtained 5 credits, including maths and English. For state pardon, former Governor Darie Nyame leave prison. And Autumn writes Buhari seeks firearm permit for a newly established security outfit. Good morning, Mr. Emeka from Oka. Go on with your contribution.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. How? I want to talk on the topic and ask you. I think I'm living at what more on the rate every month. So I just like it was like today.
Okay. You do well to call us, Mr. Emeka, because we could barely hear what you are saying, but I can pick that he's talking about ASU and the federal government. We'd like you to call us back, Mr. Emeka. And still on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, we have Nigeria loses $1.9 billion to oil theft monthly. This is coming from NNPC CEO. It's a national emergency, country losing 400,000 barrels daily, Silva says. Okowa calls for review of oil pipeline surveillance contract. And Lagos Chamber of Commerce is saying how to cushion Nigerians' rising debt portfolio. Thank you for calling us back, Mr. Emeka. We can hear you. Please go on.
Hello.
We can hear you. Please go on, Mr. Emeka.
Okay. Go to National Electoral Commission. Yes, okay. I did my complaint. They asked me to apply. Take it to the copy. I see that. You know that and the thing was 2004. I was bid 11. It's complicated. I'm even trying to go and God. Please. Never had this kind of problem. And that is that for you. Now for ASU strike. Let's talk about the latest one. You know what brings the message to the government. You know what the government then have to look at how this is the I'm working.
Yeah, Tosin, I barely can hear what Mr. Emeka is saying. I just wish he can call us back. I think there's really a problem with your network because I could barely hear him.
So do well to call us back, Mr. Emeka, and try to go to a place where there's network. Also having issues hearing you here in the studio. On the Nigerian Tribune, we have Nigeria loses $1.9 billion to oil theft monthly. This is coming from NNPC CEO. As it's a national emergency, country losing 400,000 barrels daily, Silva says. And Okowa calls for review of oil pipeline surveillance contracts. We have Chooks from Jos. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning. Please go on with your contribution.
Hello?
Go on with your contribution.
Okay. I want to comment on Nigerians being this. Hello?
We can hear you. Go on.
Okay, I want to comment on Nigeria being the third poorest country in the world. And we are the giant of Africa. And we have all it takes to make our citizens live very well and lively. But I am very much disturbed by this daily this morning that you people read on that we are the third poorest country in the world. It's unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate. And the problem is not God, it is our leaders. They are not doing things where their plans towards the country is not favorable to the economy, and that is why we are suffering, and that is why we are where we are today. I would love for us to be demoted from that being the giant of Africa, so that we be the minority in the African nation. Thank you. That's my submission.
Thank you very much for your contribution, but we'll say that we need to just invest in the right places because we can still get our glory back as giant of Africa if only we invest in the right places and also take ourselves out of this issue of being the third debtor in the World Bank, something like that. So we need to invest in the right places, and if we invest in the right places, believe you me, Sele, we'll make so much profit that we'll be able to settle our debts, and people even in the country will live right.
And you're too sad by investing in the right place. We also need to look at the people we give the mantle of leadership in these various sectors. One thing for you to have a very good sector like agriculture, for example, and then let's take for example you're not having good minister heading that place. I remember there was a time that people where we say Nigeria is among the top producing countries of onions, yet what have the onions done to us in the country to see? So when we're having bad leaders, definitely there's no how we'll thrive. So we need to also look into that too.
Sorry, Sele, we have Mr. James from Unagua.
Where they say the oil minister of petroleum is trying out. in respect of losing $1.9 billion to oil debt. So we all know the problem in Niger Delta area. In every community where the oil pipeline passes, in short, let me just put it this way. The people who are in charge of securing the oil pipeline, thank God, Okowa cried out and he said they should review or whether they should check the contract. I don't know how they want to do all those things. Everyone involved in this securing of the oil pipeline, they know about the bunkering going on in the forest. They know the site. They know the illegal bunkering center. It's in every oil pipeline community. You can't tell me you are in charge of securing oil pipeline. You don't know what's happening in the bush. Don't stop crying out now. In his own community too. The minister crying out in his own community. They are so many, not one or two. This business has gone too deep. They load in barges, they load in tankers. Most of these tankers you see are parked along all this Mpiama road. They are repairing. They are waiting for midnight, 2 a.m. to start loading. No Nigerian from Niger Delta area should be trying out foul concerning oil theft and whatever. They know. We all know what's happening. The JTF in charge of carrying the mountain, carrying the waterway. They know they are in the deal now. We can have been saying this 30 times. This is time power. It's a big merchant business. Thank you. If I go further, I'm just getting angry the more. Respect. Most of these agitators, militants, generals, they have their boys working for them in the forest. They are well informed of any potential patrol comes around. They used to say something. What are we talking about now? Those who don't have the strength they are left behind. They are hungry. The ones who have money to in the forest, they took up arms and they secure. So many business is a community of its own. They should stop saying JTF go and then bomb one place. They only bomb the condemned site. Each time you hear JTF bomb any site, you hear three spring up. It's only when they did not settle JTF, the new commandant, you hear of a site being bombed. It's a site that is already dumped. A site that is abandoned by the militants. They will now bomb there and then propaganda and that have been destroyed. While the secret site is busy loading in tankers and then, thank you, my sisters. I'm watching Google Live now. God bless you for your good work.
God bless you too. This is a clear indication that our leaders have failed us.
Of course.
And still on the Tribune newspaper, again, Amotekun intercept 168 travelers, seize 40 motorcycles. Buhari not aware of economy of country's security situation. This is coming from Afeni Ferry, and IBB has this to say, says Nigeria still trying to be a nation. UNICEF, we have Bauchi, Gombe, Kano, Adamawa, Zamfara yet to domesticate Child Rights Act. And that's all on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper.
And on the Nation newspaper, Darie Iyama, others regain their freedom. Command confirms their release, with detail on page 5. And on 2022, WAEC withholds 365,564 results. How to caution Nigerian rising debt portfolio by LCCI. Detail found on page 25 and also page 7. Yoruba elders to Tinubu, your victory in 2023 is certain. The Southwest APC unfolds reconciliation plan, and the ruling party's candidate will be different, says Keyamo. You can read more of that on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. Nigeria loses 400,000 barrels of crude oil daily to debt. This is coming from Silver. You can read more of that on page 4. And PDP postponed NEC cactus meeting as Atiku and Wike's drift deepens. You can read more of that also on page 29. We have some few picture stories here, so you can do well to get the Nation newspaper and read any of the stories that's of interest to you.
And on the New Telegraph, Senate to probe 1.7 trillion naira service-wide votes. An alleged brutality, IGP orders overhauling of IRT and other special squads. Still on insecurity, Sukapu tax El Rufai and North-West governors to emulate autumn. Says over 200 communities deserted and 3 million IDPs in southern Kaduna. And this is concerning the state police and the volunteer community police that the governor of Benue State unveiled just last week, and now we see where they're talking about the southern Kaduna, even the Kaduna state governor and other northwest governors to emulate the footstep of having their own state security, because obviously state security will be the best because it will help in looking out for ways they can tackle this issue of insecurity. We know southern Kaduna and even Kaduna state generally have become a soft spot to this issue of insecurity. So we just hope that the governor of Kaduna state will listen to this and do something about it. Good morning, Mr. Stephen from Benue.
Morning.
Morning.
Hello?
We can hear you. Please go on with your contribution.
Hello? This is Steven from Benue State.
Thank you. Go on.
Mr. Stephen, okay.
Okay, do well to call us back, Mr. Stephen. And Pirate Confraternity, Soyinka condemns rally mocking 2023 presidential candidate. And I would like to say it's a sad thing for you to mock someone based on his state, on his health issues. There are other ways you can have your gyration song rather than mock someone with his health issues. And I stand with what others are saying concerning what they did in mocking the aspirant of the APC, the presidential aspirant, that's Oluremi Tinubu, mocking him with a state of health. So there are other ways you can have and enjoy yourself. There are other ways you can sing to make yourself happy other than abuse people on their state, on their health. Good morning, Mr. Stephen.
Good morning, you are all welcome there.
Thank you.
I want to say on this private security, our Motec is very doing their work very well now in the south. So every state has their own security and build them up well, and you will see that protective terrorism. So I wish the federal government will help them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. He commended the work of Amotekun, and just like what other states are saying and other what the government is, they're talking about how Sokapu is saying El Rufai and even other northwest governors should have a state policing, because if you really need to see what Amotekun are doing in the south, where they intercept all those people. Just now we record where 176 travelers are hiding under cows just to go to a southern state. So we just hope that other states will have a security outfit for us to tackle this issue of insecurity even at the state level. And elites behind oil theft, illegal refineries in Niger Delta. Good morning, Mr. James. Please do move away from your TV set, Mr. James, and we are listening to you. Please go on.
Hello?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Please go on with your contribution.
Yeah, I would like to comment concerning releasing of Jole Nyame.
Okay.
I am so happy to hear that the Jole Nyame has finally released, because even though Jole Nyame done the wrong thing, lead him into prison, and I believe being in time, I never see a thing that happened like presently now in my state in Taraba, because many things we doesn't believe, the person doesn't have anything. No, how I pray that Jolly will come back to the governor in Taraba State again. No matter what he did, his time is very important to me in my life than now. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. And Shell is saying, Elite behind oil theft, illegal refineries in Niger Delta. Minas national embarrassment requires emergency. This is from Silva and Kari. Okowa to the federal government review oil facilities surveillance contract. Buhari approves acquisitions of ExxonMobil US shares by Seplat, and status quo remains. This is coming from NUPRC. Atiku Wike crisis forces shift of PDP NEC meeting, and on presidential pardon, Darie Nyame released from prison. Ohaneze to Buhari, stop blaming victims for insecurity in the southeast. Autumn to submit application to procure AK-47, AK-49 rifles to Buhari. Deteriorating security situation worries Afenifere, and details can be found in page 2 and 3 of the New Telegraph paper. We have a study which says suicide rates could increase by up to 1,660 cases annually, and that's all on the New Telegraph.
All right, let's take a look at the world of the business from Business Day newspaper. NESG urges reform as Buhari's legacy at stake. You can read more of that on page 30 of the Business Day newspaper. And we have Extor Seplat $1.3 billion deal gets Buhari's nod. You can actually read more of that on page 2. Naira overvalued by 200% may be devalued. This is coming from Rwani. We have the cost of living crisis squeeze consumers switch to small stores on rising prices. We have a picture story here also, so you can do well to get the Business Day newspaper and read any of this business news that is of interest to you.
Thank you very much, Sele, for doing this with me.
My
and
pleasure.
I'd like to round up with this comment from Raymond DIA. He says, oh yes, Akwehaske. And even at the end of the tunnel, there is light, Akwehaske. Thank you very much for doing this with us. Let's do the same time, same station tomorrow. Have a blessed day and enjoy Nigeria Now, which comes up by 10. Bye for now.